Hello YouTube, this is Ready Set Exploit, and we're going to be doing Red from Vulnhub, which is a machine I created where I wanted to emulate a blue team versus red team scenario. In this case, your machine has been compromised by red and you're kind of fighting your way to regain control. So it's a kind of a capture the flag style where you're kind of following along some of Red's clues. We find a WordPress website that we find a backdoor that Red has left. It is vulnerable to local file inclusion, and then we see that we can read the credentials of the WordPress config file. But we also find another clue by Red on the actual vulnerable page itself that tells us to use the Hashcat best of 64 rules to mutate the password, which we can then use to SSH in. Now this is where Red becomes, for lack of a better word, annoying. And I meant to do it that way because I was trying to emulate Red fighting back. So Red sends us messages about every minute, actually every minute to be exact, trying to throw us off. He also switched the cat command with vi and vim/vim and vi with, no, vice versa. Then it also kicks us off. I think I did it every 5 minutes. It kicks us off the session and changes the password. But it also tries to throw us off by telling us that the user we have access to, the next user we have access to, is not the right user. But if we ignore Red and look around to what the user has access, we see that we can write to a particular directory in the WordPress site where a C binary is executed as root, which we can actually edit and then gain a reverse shell. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. So this is a Vulnhub machine, and I already have it installed on my local lab. So what I like to do is, first I'm going to find my IP address. That's my Docker address. This is my IP address. So we can run the Nmap command. So we could use net discover, but I like to do Nmap. We're going to do minrate, and we're going to ignore our address and look through the whole, pretty much our whole subnet. And we're going to look for open ports. We're going to do grep. So then we run it, and we get a match for this IP address. So, and we get a couple ports. So let's go ahead and now run Nmap SSB, and I'm going to go ahead and do a scan. So dash V is for verbose output, dash SV is to enumerate versions, dash SC is to run default scripts, dash ON is to save all the output to a file, which I'll call Nmap. That's the IP address of our target, and dash B dash is to enumerate all ports. So we have, I like the dash B because it gives us the ports that it finds right away as it finds them. So we have 22, which is typical for SSH, and our Nmap already finished. And like I said, it's open SSH, and we have port 20, which is running an Apache site, a web server, and looks like it tells us right away it is a WordPress site. This is the title and the admin page. So let's check this out. So we go to a web server, and we go to the address. We see this funky looking site as WordPress. So WordPress does this a lot. So what we can do to kind of fix this, we Control U to view the source, or just right click and view page source, whichever you prefer, and we look for the host name. In this case is right here, redrocks.win. So we can edit our host file. Let's go ahead and clear this up, and we can put the IP address of the page. We're going to do redrocks.win. And what this does is, now if we refresh the page, now it looks like the actual WordPress site. So we have here the title, hacked by Red, same up here. And so it's a message to us. Your site has been hacked, you'll never find the backdoor, ha ha ha. And then we have the post, hello blue, and this is a callback. I wanted to do a callback to the original Pokemon anime with Ash and Gary Oak. So red was here, blue is a loser. That's from one of the beginning episodes, I think, when Brock joins the team. I don't remember exactly when, but he says Gary was here, Ash is a loser. So kind of a bit of a throwback there to Pokemon, but nonetheless, we know that there's a backdoor somewhere, And I don't want to waste too much of your time. So if we click on the post, and it's pretty much the same thing, and if we press Ctrl U to look at the source, we find this particularly looking comment, and it says still looking for it. And I wanted to give the attackers or us a hint, whoever is doing this machine, but without giving it too much away. So it's a message from Red, still looking for it, and I wanted to highlight this in a particular way. If we look at it, L, F, and I are capitalized, which stands for LFI, which stands for local file inclusion. I also wanted to give another hint of Mr. Meisler. That's the creator of the GitHub repository for a word list that a lot of people use. And not that it matters, you won't be able to read anything. So if we put all this together, we're looking for we know that the backdoor is an LFI from a list that we can read things with, and it comes from Mr. Meisler. So if we look at Meisler, I think I'm definitely not spelling that right, and we do GitHub and we do backdoor. Now we know WordPress runs in PHP. We find this, which has a lot of typical backdoor names. And what we can do is, we know where it's in discovery, web content, common backdoors, PHP. So what we can do is we can use Gobuster. And mine isn't. I installed it in my op directory, cyclic discover web content. I think is, what's it called again? Common backdoors. Backdoors. Am I not spelling that right? Web content, common backdoors, PHP, and I'm gonna do the extension. The PHP extension, that's what we're looking for, and our target is actually going to be redrocks.win. We're going to save this to call this backdoor.txt. Okay, the dash C so that we don't display our progress. So I'm going to run it, and it finds something with status 500 right here, this page. So if we go there, close this for now, we don't need this anymore. If we bring up that page, it is blank, even doesn't reveal anything. So we know we're looking for an LFI as per the hint. So a good way to test that is to use WFUZZ. So we're gonna use the same sec list, but now we're gonna look for burp parameter names. So if you want to see what that looks like, let's see, sec list burp parameter names, and pretty much does a lot of different parameters use. So maybe one of these will be it, and this is just something to always try whenever you're looking into LFIs. So we'll put the site redrocks.win, and we have the file. What you want to do is $fuzz, so it's gonna read through the list and replace fuzz with each name on the list, and then we're gonna equals test. This could be anything. This could be blah blah, right? So we're gonna call this WFUZZ, and we're gonna run it. And we just have to wait a moment. It might be a little slow. And what we want to do is we want to hide all the things that look the same. So we're actually going to hide -- we'll focus on the characters. So we'll do HH for characters. The way I remember is it's always going to be an H, and then the second character is going to be either an L, W, or an H. So we're going to do HH. We're going to do 0. And we should get a hit in just a moment. While we wait for that, we'll see if we can. How long is this list? All right, we have key. It's quite a long list. See if he finds a hit. Blah blah. What we know is an LFI. This is taking a little bit. So there we go. We get a hit for key. See, it's exactly one character. So what we can do is we can give it a shot. So if we do key, if you're not sure how LFIs work, we can actually close this now. You could Google like LFI hack tricks. Basically, it's a path traversal. It's a way to read files on the server that you may not have access to. A typical attack looks like this. So see a couple of // so you can kind of go back to the base directory and then read the file, and then read the actual file you want. So this is a classic example here, right? So let's give this a try. There's really no limit to the LFI, so we could just go go back a couple of directories, and then we're gonna do. We know it's a Linux machine, so let's read the etc passw file, and look, we get a hit. Control U, and we can actually get it more organized. So we see we have the root user, and we have a couple of users. This is a good thing to also do whenever dealing with LFIs. So look at what kind of users you have. I created the user John. We have oxdf and ippsec, right? So what else can we do? When we're dealing with WordPress, I always want to read the config file. Now, this typical LFI doesn't allow us to read code. So what we can do is I'm going to actually use burp. So turn on our burp intercept and launch burp, and we're going to intercept this request, and then we're going to use a PHP filter. So let's go ahead and see, intercept is on. Let's capture this request. We're going to right click, send it to repeater, forward it, and now we can read the files right here. See? So let's go ahead and read the config file. So what we can do, if you don't know how the files are installed, you can just go back. We know this is network the network file manager PHP is on the base directory, and let's see if we can get the name. So the config file for WordPress is called wp/config.php, but we can read it, as you see. So what we can do is, if we do LF5, we go back to hack tricks, and we just look PHP. Forgot what it's called actually. PHP. It's a way to parse their PHP wrappers. So what we do is we're going to convert it to base 64. So we can copy this and paste it here. Equals, I think that's it, right? Yeah, equals. And we read it, we now get a hit. Base 64 encoded. So we're going to highlight that, right click, send it to decoder. I'm going to decode as base 64, and look, we have the WordPress file. So actually, let's do something better. Let's call this files. Oh, look, see, move backdoor text to red. I forgot that I created a separate directory for this. So same thing, move nmap to red and cd red. That way we're nice and organized. So let's call this config.php.base. Actually, let's call it .base64, and we're gonna paste. Oops, copy the wrong thing. So let's copy our base64, delete this first line, copy. Do is we can cat the config file pipe to base64-d into config.php. So if we look at the config file, we have it here, and the config file is where the database credentials are usually stored, and we do have a match for John, which, if you remember, was in a passwd file and a password. And just to save you some time, this password itself doesn't work. We can try to SSH in. That's always a good try to look for password reuse. But as a blue teamer, what another good thing to try, especially since blue, that's our character, we want to read how this file is. Because if you Google it, if you Google this file, seclist, and it might not be here. Let's just see if we can find it. GitHub, simple file manager, let's see, file manager PHP, let's see, network file manager PHP, GitHub, is it here? It may not be here. Because this is not a actual, an actual LFI file. I know it's somewhere, but it doesn't matter. I really won't help with this challenge. So let's go ahead and read the file that we that is being used as the LFI. So if we send this, we get a hit, and we're gonna actually copy this. And same thing, we're gonna do, call it backdoor.php, actually .base64, paste this, and we're gonna decode this file, backdoor, and we're gonna call it backdoor.php. And if we cat this file, we get, this is it's a standard LFI. See, so if we get key, we get the file. Otherwise, we're back at the actual file. So let's go ahead. We do get this particular looking base64 message. So let's decode this. So cat, copy the string. Actually, not cat. Echo. And base64-decode, and we're going to do message.text. If we cat message, it says that password alone won't help you. Hashcat says rules are rules. So this is a callback to the base64 rules. So what that does is, and the reason why I'm assuming it's base64, the way I built the hint is because this is base64 encoded, and it's talking about the password which we found here, right? So because it's base64 encoding, it's talking about rules. We can make an assumption that the Hashcat, that it's talking about Hashcat base64 rules. And if we Google that, you could read this article, for example, or this one, rule-based attack. So what it does is essentially it's just a password mutation. So it takes a password and then mutates it based on the rules, right? You can create your own rules, but there's already a rule called base64 rules. So let's go ahead and save the password of John. I'm going to call it pass text. Call it there, and we can go ahead and perform our Hashcat rules, which is pretty straightforward. So we do Hashcat, do --std out, and we're going to take our file, and the rule, the base64 rule, is in use to share Hashcat rules base64, and we're going to put it onto the output into a pass.list. And if we look at pass.list, see, the password's been mutated. 5 different things, so a bunch of different things. So if we do cat pass list word count, I think is -L, 77 lines. So let's go ahead, and now we can run hydra. Whoops, I closed my terminal. Look at that. There we go. Hydra. So what we're going to do is hydra, and we're going to do the user we know is John. Password is pass list. The RIP address, which was, I forgot already. Luckily, we can cat our host file, and there it is. So hydra John, and dash capital P for the list, pass list. We're going to do the IP address, and we're going to do SSH. Hydra is a password brute forcer based on a list. So let's run it, and we get a match right here. Rev malware king. So if we go ahead and log in, yes, and just give it a second, it logs in. So a lot of different steps, and there we go, we are John, and no flag file, and we actually get a note from Red here. So let's cat it, and we are in VI. So having a little trouble with cat command blue, so he is trolling us. And since cat is VI, we can assume that VI is probably cat. So bit of a troll there from Red. We can also use up, and we got our first message. So you really think you can take down my machine, blue? So that's Red talking to us, trying to throw us off. If we don't like the cat VI switch, we can do tac. Tac also reads commands, so he didn't switch that around. So we have messages, and cat and VI switch to throw us off. But we can do sudo -l, and we can run the time command as the user ippsec. And we know ippsec's another user. So if you're not sure what to do here, gtfo bins time, and we can run sudo with bin sh. So let's go ahead and do sudo. We want to do -u as ippsec time, and it's really throwing us off. I will say, I know I created this machine, but I didn't think it'd be this annoying. And bin bash. I know it says bin sh, but I like bin bash. It works the same way. And now we are the ippsec users, you could see here, and just by running who am I. Do ls, we are in John's folder. But if we do here, just remember, we're going to do bi, we have a flag, and it's a fake flag. Come on, now blue, you really think it would be that easy to get the user flag? So this is Red trying to throw us off, right? And we could spend a lot of time trying to get to OXDF. And the main point here is that's what Red wants you to think. You know, I was trying to create a diversion when I first created this box, because the closer you are to your target, and we get a saved by your shell blue and that password, this is a hint that we may lose our session at some point. So I was trying to throw you off, which means that since we're getting closer, Red is getting desperate and is trying to now resort to lying so that you waste your time going back to trying to look for a user that you're not supposed to get, right? So from here, if we ignore if we ignore Red and just carry on trying to find what else we have access to, we could do a typical find to see. We could do type find user ippsec, and type f. Let's look for files, and that is a lot. Let's ignore prog, and that is just our folder, and we got taken off. If we try to use the same password, it won't work. See, it's a different password this time. And Red is something else, huh? So we got SSH. So it's about every 5 minutes that Red kicks you off. So there is a way to bypass this. So now it's time for us to fight back. So let's create a shell script just because it's easier to copy paste. --i. So there is a way to not get kicked off. Forgot my own IP address. Host name. There we go. And what we're gonna do is create another reverse shell after our session through dev.tcp, and when the shell dies, it won't kick us off, and we're going to execute it as ippsec. So we have that. Have here. Let's do sudo-l again. So let's do this quick before we lose our shell. Won't be that quick. I believe I made it 5 minutes, so just enough time. So if we go to, let's go to dev.shm. What we're gonna do is now we're gonna copy here. Let's have netcat ready. And oh my gosh, sorry. And there we go. And now we're gonna create our own shell.sh. Oh gosh, okay. See? It's trolling me too. Shell.sh. And there we go. And we're gonna do chmod shell.sh. We own this file. So now let's execute it. And now we are red. Let's upgrade our shell with Python 3-c info pty.spawn bin bash as Control C to background, stty raw -echo semicolon fg, press enter twice. Then now we have clear. And what this does is now we'll still get the messages, but we won't get kicked out. So let's go ahead and go back to finding what we needed. So we couldn't find any files, right? But let's see what else we can find. Groups. See what groups we're part of. ippsec. So another thing to look for is, jeez, sorry. Guy is getting to me, huh? So we do group ippsec. And we could look for files, but just to save you time, we're going to look for directories instead. So dev.null, and we're going to, actually, let's see what we found with this. grep-b proc. And one that stands out is this git. Now, if you're dealing with WordPress, you will build your own site, you won't really find a .git unless you're cloning a WordPress repo. But that is interesting. Let's see what that has. And we have a binary reb and a super secret file .c. So it's a C file. Actually, let's look at that directory, and we see that directory is owned by root and the group ippsec, which means we can edit these files. So let's go there. See, if you have checked out the WordPress site yourself and done an LSLA, where I was, you actually can, this would also stand out to you. But nevertheless, let's see BI what super secret file is. So it's just a standard print, get out of here, blue. Prints hello world. Forgot to delete that comment, but that's okay. So if we go ahead and execute reb, we just get out of here blue. So this just means that we're close, okay? And so let's go ahead and we can assume that this is being executed by root. It's probably some kind of backdoor. So back to the backdoor callback on our main site of redrocks.win, right? So it's probably like a root backdoor in case we ever, oh look. So we see we didn't get kicked out. If we do this again, clear, we have a shell. And if we go back, we got kicked out, but we still have a shell. So now that was a good way to escape that kick out, which was, you know, very annoying to deal with. So let's go ahead, and if you weren't sure if this is being activated by root, we can look at pspy, use pspy. So if you Google like GitHub pspy64s, you would find this. It's a way to monitor Linux processes live. So you could download the repo or go to releases and download the binaries. Either way, I'm gonna locate pspy64s. I have it here. Copy it here. We're gonna call this server now. So we're gonna do Python 3. We're gonna start up a Python server. I'm gonna download it into my system. So actually, go to temp. I'm gonna do wget 10. I think it's 10 and we keep forgetting my own IP address. So right there, let's copy that so I don't forget it. So there you go, 11.2, and then we're gonna do shell.sh. That's not it. pspy64s, and now we have it there. It's a binary, so we gotta make it executable. And if we execute it, we see all the processes that are running. And before I show you this, if you wait long enough, this it will show you that that backdoor is being executed. So before S. While we wait, in the meantime, let's go ahead and create our C reverse shell. So we could do payload all the things reverse shell. And we go to this GitHub repo and we have reverse shells for all types of languages. Click on C and we have this. So we just have to replace the port and IP address. So let's go to our server. Let's close this. And let's call, what was it, super secret file.c. I think that's what it was called. We'll check on that later while we wait. Super secret file.c. So I'm gonna paste, and we could do it manually, but I'm gonna show off a little. We're gonna do sed. So we're gonna do 4242. We're gonna replace that with 9001, and then again. So I'm just replacing, because I don't want to do it manually, with my IP address, which again I forgot. Host name, should have just done it manually. See what happens. Server, so here, there. So 10.0.0.1. Place that with that, and there we go. So now we have this file. Let's see if we should have kept that window open. So we have a cron defense. So you see, as you can see, if you look closely, have this cron job, and there we go. Perfect. So if we look quietly, if we look enough, right here. So process is root. If you're not sure that that's root, go here. That's the UID of root, 0. So we see that he's compiling this binary. Oh, super secret file. Gotta change that. He's compiling it into this, and then he is most likely executing it. And I believe that's on here, on this long line. I didn't mean for this line to print out, but it does. So we know that he's if he's compiling it, we know that he's definitely executing it. So let's go ahead and move super secret file to that. And now what we're gonna do is and we're gonna cat this. We're gonna copy that, and we're going to listen on 9001. So if we go here, we're gonna close this. C.var www.wordpress.git, and we're gonna remove super secret file. Yes, we can remove it even though it's owned by root because we owned the directory. We're gonna remove it, and we're gonna create the file. So the file name has to match. We can, vi doesn't work. We have to cat the file. We're gonna paste it. I'm going to write it. That's fine. and that'll happen. There we go. So we have it there, and we know that root's going to compile this, compile it, and execute it. So if we go back to our temp, and now we just have to wait for the, oh, it already compiled. See, it already looks like it compiled it, and we got a reverse shell. We know because it says connect to from this. So if we do ID, we are root. Who am I? Root. And now let's go ahead and do python-3-c import pty pty.spawn. Thought it was going to take a little longer. We got it just on time. ty raw echo export term equals xterm. So what this does, this last part, is if I do clear, it's not set. Export term equals xterm. Now if I do clear, it's there. And now I have a more interactive shell. So we have the root flag there. Okay. And what about the user flag? So let's do that. We can find it easy. We do find, I think it's find type, no, f name user.text, and there's two, and there's one in oxdf. So he wasn't entirely lying, Red. There is a flag there which we can read, and only as root. So he's a good sport after all. If we do cat root, oh, root, still root, true root, there we go. GG blue, GG, which means good game. So he's a good sport. You know, he's a good sport after all. And then if we do the same thing here, we about time found the user flag blue. And that's the machine. I did my best. We can't fully escape the messages, but in true blue team spirit, let's fix it up. So we have defense. Let's see what that's about. Let's see. Clear. So let's see. CD defense. And we have scripts. Look at that. Actually, let's fix bi and cat. So if we go to user-bin, if we go to user-bin, let's see. Here's what we got to do. Cron tab. Cron tab out. We want to kill these cron tabs, right? We have kill session, change password, backdoor. So let's go ahead and let's see, bin basic, and we can't because they're switched. So let's go ahead and do bin. Let's actually go there. So you know, I could just show you what I did, but this is a little bit more fun, and we could see anything that sticks out. Let's see, and without wasting too much time, if we do ls grep vi, let's do vi, and one thing that stands out is right here, back. So these are backup files, and if we do the same with cat.back. So what I did is this is the actual cat binary. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove user bin cat, and we're going to move cat.back to mu. And we're going to do that, and we're going to move to user bin.cat. And now we're going to do the same thing, user.bin.bi back to user.bin, see if we can beat it to bi. And now let's see if that worked. Home not set. Yeah, actually, let's go to our root folder, and let's see if that fixed it. There we go. Now if we do root, now that's fixed. So now we could do cron tab -e, I'm gonna do 2, and look at that. Bim, basic. Let's do dash E. I probably have to fix. Bim. Let's see if I can fix it really quick. MB user bin bim back. Okay, I do have it. It's just that it's also a basic bin back to user bin bin. Let's see if now we could do this. And not working. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do nano. Ah, okay, I see. So we can't even do it, but that's okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna just read them, see what they're doing. So because we could just delete all this. So that's the back door. Move that. Actually, let's get rid of talk because that's the most annoying one. So it's super simple. What I did is, I'm not a bash script expert, so I did a random number, and for each, so I did this for each session. For I-25, I talked to each PTS. So whenever you SSH in, each SSH sessions assign a number. So I did a big list because there is another way to bypass this talk. You would have to create 26 SSH sessions, and no one's going to do that. Maybe they could, but what I did is, and then for each random number between 1 and 8 or 1 and 7, it will talk to you. I could have done a much longer list, but that was just obnoxious. So I'm going to do move talk. And now that doesn't work. We're going to remove kill session. And we're going to remove change password. So now those cron tabs won't do anything. Let's see if we can still edit it. Still nothing. Okay. So that probably broke something. So that's that. Might as well remove defense. Okay. And so that's fixed. So now what we could do is do bar dub. So the next thing we want to do, in case as a blue teamer you want to just change your password. So I want to do pass wd root because that's our only way in. So we could do, just for sakes and purposes, we could do root password, root new password, password. Right. So now if we lose access to root, we can get it back, and hopefully, you know, realistically you would do a stronger password so that Red can't get your password with like hydra or something. You know. But now bar WordPress.git. We want to get rid of these files because now we can go back as root with password. So we could do rf.git. And lastly, we want to remove network file manager. So now Red has no way in, and we do. See, so now if we do this again, nothing there. We fixed it. So that's just a quick way to fixing any backdoors left by Red, and then, you know, you could go back and fix in your WordPress site. So that pretty much does the machine. Hope you enjoyed it. It is a very annoying machine. You noticed I haven't gotten any messages from Red because I deleted all his attacks. We could also do it's sudo vi sudoers file. I don't have to do sudo. I am root. And see, there it is. So John can execute all as ippsec. We could fix that as well. And then we want to do an overwrite, and there we go. So see, we fixed our machine. Hope you enjoyed it. I really had fun making this machine. I did my best to emulate, like I said, a blue teamer versus red teamer scenario. The theme behind it was that Red hacked it, but he needs to get back in case he ever lost access to your machine, which is why he left the backdoors. But you know, as a true blue team, red team spirit, Red kind of does want to be found. It's no fun if blue can't fully find it. So he naturally left little clues, maybe for himself or herself, or you know, Red itself, and for Blue to be able to maybe find it. You know, was Blue smart enough to find it? So it was kind of a big theme there. And little Pokemon themes. You know, the original game was called Red and Blue, the original Game Boy game. So figure a little throwback there with this sentence. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the machine. Leave a like or subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.